Hi there, I'm Cath. Welcome to my channel made by Cath Craft. Thank you very much for joining me for my latest episode of my midweek sewing chat. In this episode, I've got to share a new sewing project that I completed this week, a top that I made. I've also got an update on a couple of other projects, one sewing project and one knitting project, and I've got a new piece of fabric to share too. So I'm looking forward to chatting with you about all of those. And actually, it's the perfect day to film this video because I want to stay inside today in the cool, in the shade as much as possible, because at the moment we're having a bit of a mini heat wave here in the south of England. I think temperatures today and tomorrow get set to go up into the 30s, which is really hot for here. So yeah, it's definitely a nice day to stay inside and keep cool. Oh, and I thought I mentioned before I get into all the sewing content, apologies if my voice doesn't sound quite itself. I seem to have caught a head cold from my son. I don't know why colds are still kicking around at this time of the year. It does feel a bit unfair to have a head cold in the middle of the boiling summer heat, but my son's all recovered. He's kindly passed on to me, so I've got a bit of a scratchy throat, not feeling 100%, but never mind. I think sewing's always a great distraction from things like colds, so it's nice to be on here chatting. So I'll start off this video as ever with what I'm wearing today, and today I've got on a nice summery outfit to hopefully keep me nice and cool. I've got on a handmade top and a pair of handmade shorts. And the top, you probably recognise the pattern, is this one here. It's the Ogden cami pattern by True Buyers, which is a top pattern I really like, and I've also really enjoyed hacking this pattern to make it into a dress because I think it's a great sort of basic pattern that's perfect for hacking too. But I've just got the plain cami top version on today, and it's a really nice cami top. It's designed for woven fabrics. It's quite a boxy loose fit, so perfect for warm weather. And it's got this deep V at the front and back and spaghetti straps, and it's got a really good size range too. I've got this pattern, the size 0 to 18 version, but there's also a size 14 to 30 version, I think it is. And the size 14 to 30 version is pretty much the same, but it's got slightly wider straps and also bust darts included. But it's a really nice, simple cami top pattern, perfect for warm weather. And the version I'm wearing today is in this really lovely Atelier Brunette viscose fabric. And it's my first Ogden cami I made. This top's quite old now, and I don't think this Atelier Brunette viscose fabric is still available. It's called Moonstone, and I think they used to do it in a few different colours. There's like a really pretty sort of mustard, I think ochre colour, and a green colour. And I got this sort of really pale pink colourway, and it's got these different sort of splodges on in different sort of dark greys and pinks and whites. And I remember making this top. I wanted to use this fabric because I thought it was so pretty, but I didn't want to spend too much buying too much of it in case I wrecked it, because I was quite early on in my sewing journey, so I thought it'd be perfect to give it a go with the Ogden cami, which doesn't take too much fabric. And luckily it turned out okay, and it's still holding up okay after quite a few washes. I don't know whether I used my overlocker on this one. I can't remember whether it was pre-overlocker or not. Yeah, I did have my overlocker. I've just checked one of the seams. I did have my overlocker at that point, so that's probably helped it sort of stand up to the test of time. But it's just nice and breezy and floaty and perfect for warm weather. I think I might have lengthened it slightly so I can tuck it in to shorts and skirts, which I quite like to do with the Ogden cami. And I think I made the size 0, which is designed for chest 32 inches, waist 26 inches and hips 34. And I'm 32, 26, 36. So that's pretty much me on the bust and waist, and slightly smaller on the hips. But the Ogden cami has quite a boxy shape, so I find I didn't need to grade out, then it still sort of skims my hips nicely. And actually mostly I tuck it in anyway, so the hip measurement isn't too critical because it's not sort of going right over my hips anyway. But that's what I'm wearing on the top, and then I've paired it with one of my summery pairs of shorts that I love to wear in warm weather. And I made these shorts using this pattern here, which is the Chi-Town Chinos pattern by Alina Design Co. And it's not a pattern company I know so well. I've only actually made this pattern, and it's one that was recommended to me because I posted a post on Instagram a couple of years ago saying I had a pair of ready-to-wear shorts that were fairly sort of low-rise and quite a relaxed fit, and they were wearing out because I'd really worn them to death. And I asked for recommendations of patterns that I could maybe use to replicate them, because I find a lot of patterns for shorts often are sort of more high-waisted, which I really like. I love high-waisted shorts. But when it's really, really hot, I find that can often be a bit too much fabric around my waist, and I find it a bit too hot. So I just wanted a pair of lower rise style shorts, and these Chi-Town Chinos are perfect for that. So the pattern comes as a shorts and skirt pattern. I think it's like a perfect denim skirt style pattern too, so it could be quite a versatile pattern that you could really use through the year. It comes in sizes 0 to 18 US sizes, so it's not got the biggest size range ever. But it's got some nice features on the pattern, and I find the instructions on this pattern really good, and it's a perfect pattern if you want to learn a few new skills. Maybe a good introduction to if you're thinking of sewing a pair of jeans, you could start with this pattern and then work up to it. because it shows you how to make the little sort of belt loops, and it talks you through making what are those little things called, the bits that hold it in place, I can't remember, they're called bar tacks, that's it, about bar tacks and that sort of thing. But yeah, basically the pattern here has a fly front zipper on both the skirt and the shorts, and these slash pockets and a sort of waistband. And then there's a variety of different pockets you can use the back, so it's one of those patterns that you can customise quite a lot, and you can make two quite different versions. And I'll stand up so you can see what my version looked like. I made a pair of basic shorts in a linen fabric. I think it was an enzyme washed linen that I got quite a while ago from Guthrie Garney. It's nice soft linen, but also fairly substantial. It's not like really lightweight, so perfect for a pair of shorts. But I'll stand up so you can see them. So you can see I've got the sort of fly front there and the slash pockets, and then I've gone for just quite simple pockets in the back. I'll turn around so you can see, hopefully. And I've got the belt loops on. I tried sort of working my way through all the different bits in the pattern, and they're just a really nice relaxed pair of shorts to wear. I did actually make a toile of this pattern in some cheaper cotton, sort of linen look cotton fabric from Minerva, just to try the fit, and I made a few tweaks, particularly at the back, because I do have a bit of a sway back, so I ended up taking the pattern a little bit around the back. I think I started off based on my measurements and then sort of tweaked the fit a little bit before I made this version. But they're just really nice and comfy and relaxed to wear, so perfect for this warmer weather. They're a pair of shorts I'd always take on holiday. And linen's so lovely and breathable in this weather, isn't it? But I'll put a picture up so you can see what the outfit looks like on. It's just keeping me quite nice and cool today in this very hot weather. So that's what I'm wearing today to try and keep cool. But I'll move on now to sharing with you what I've been up to over the last week or so on the sewing front. And the first thing I wanted to share is a piece of new fabric that I received this week that I really love. And I was very kindly gifted this fabric. I was gifted it by Eliza Mac Fabrics, who are an online fabric shop. And they're based in North Wales, and they have a really lovely website with lots of pretty fabrics, stretch fabrics, woven fabrics, all sorts on there. So I really enjoy having a browse of there. And I've bought some fabric from them before. Last year I bought this lovely baby knit fabric in an ecru colourway, which they still have in stock. I had a look and checked. They have in a few different colours, and I used it to make the Juniper cardigan by Jennifer Lauren Handmade, and I'll put a picture of that cardigan so you can see what it looks like. And I really enjoyed sewing with that fabric. It was perfect for a cardigan. But anyway, Eliza Mac got in touch with me and asked me if I'd like to choose a fabric from the website and sew something up. So I really enjoyed having a browse of their website, and I chose some fabric here, which I'm going to show you now. It's a really lovely organic cotton jersey with a really pretty floral design on. As you can see, it's here. And the fabric is called Blossoms Cotton Jersey, and like I said, it's an organic fabric, and it's really lovely and soft, and I thought the print on it was really, really pretty, with these sort of almost watercolour style flowers and these sort of pretty pink and white colours. So yeah, I've been sent 2 meters of this fabric, and I'm really looking forward to sewing it up. And it was nice actually, the order came along with a little note and a tea bag, and I do love it when fabric orders come with tea bags. I don't know what it is about. I guess it's just because tea and sewing are sort of two things I love. So yeah, it's always nice when a tea bag comes along. So that was quite nice to have that little note, and there's their little cards you can see. I'll link them down below, and I'll link this fabric. And so what I'd like to make with this fabric is something I've been wanting to make for a while, and I've just been waiting to find the right fabric, and I saw this fabric and I thought that would be perfect. And it is quite a simple boxy t-shirt dress for summer. See, I've been wanting to make quite a loose fit, relaxed fit t-shirt dress for a while, and particularly with the warm weather we're having here, it's been at the forefront of my mind. I often find I get to the end of the day here and I'm feeling a bit hot and bothered, so I like the idea of having something I can just pull on that's really easy and comfy to wear. And I also thought it'd be great for the beach as well, just as a cover up, just to easily be able to put on and off over a bikini or swimsuit or that sort of thing. So I've wanted to make one of those for a while, and I have in mind a pattern I'd like to use, although I'm going to need to adapt it slightly. And the pattern I'd like to use to make this sort of boxy, relaxed fit t-shirt dress is this pattern here, which is the paper cut solar sweater and tee. My pattern says the Kyoto sweater and tee, but the name's been changed for a while. My pattern's just the older version. It's a really nice boxy fit sweatshirt and t-shirt pattern. You've probably heard me talking about it before because it's a pattern I really like. There's the t-shirt version, which is what I want to make. It's just got a simple sort of crew neck, and it's got a dropped shoulder, which I like, and quite loose fit sleeves and a boxy bodice. And you can make it with this little ruffle on the sleeve too, which is a really lovely feature. And I've added that ruffle on quite a few of the solar tee and sweaters I've made. But for this t-shirt, I want to keep it really simple. So I'm going to omit the ruffle and just make it quite boxy and straight. And then I'm going to bring the lines down, maybe tape them out slightly to go over my hips so they're not too sort of snug there. And just turn it into, yeah, a really nice simple t-shirt dress. And I think this fabric is so pretty that it will lend itself really well to quite a simple silhouette. So that is my plan. It's lovely, soft fabric. I think it'll be really nice and comfy. And I'm hoping if this goes well, I might make a couple more, because I think that'll be a really useful thing to have in my wardrobe. Because I don't often do find at the end of the day, I'd love to be able to change into something like that. Just to be able to flop in the evening in this warm weather when it's too warm for my True Bias Hudson pants. So yeah, I'm looking forward to sewing that up. So I'll share with you how I get on. I'm hoping it'll be quite easy just to alter this pattern to turn it from a t-shirt into a t-shirt dress. It's a really nice pattern, so I'm looking forward to sewing with it again. It sews up really nicely. It should be quite a quick, simple sew, hopefully. So yep, I'm looking forward to sewing that t-shirt dress up. And like I mentioned before, I'll link the Eliza Mac Fabrics website down below in case you fancy having a browse on there. They have some really nice fabrics, some really pretty ones, some children's fabrics too, and some slightly unusual fabrics like the baby knit as well. So definitely worth a little look. So the next thing that I wanted to share with you in this video is the top that I sewed up this week. And this top is actually one that I sewed up on a little bit of a whim. I had a quiet moment this week. I was at a loose end, and my husband always says it's a bit dangerous when I'm at a loose end because I'm always wanting a project. And I just thought, I fancy sewing up something a little bit fun. So I got a new pattern that I've been eyeing up for a while, and I just went ahead and sewed it up. And actually I'm really happy with how it turned out. The pattern is one that I've been eyeing up for quite a while on Instagram. I think it was released earlier this summer, and I'd seen so many lovely versions of it made by other people. And I'd really admired it from afar, but I wasn't sure it was one that would suit me or that I could carry off. So I kind of held off buying it, but this week I just thought, let's give it a go. It can be a bit of fun, and if it doesn't turn out okay, well, at least I've tried it. And the pattern is this one here. It's the Friday Pattern Co. Saguaro set, and I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. But it's a really pretty new pattern by Friday Pattern Co. for this two-piece set, and I'll show you the line drawing so you can see in a bit more detail. It's a woven set. And it's definitely a nice summery one. I think the kind of co-ord sets are quite trendy at the moment too, so yeah, that's what it is. So this set here, it's a pair of sort of fairly loose fit wide leg trousers with an elasticated waist that I think sits around your natural waist, and it has pockets and a little tie front tie front bit. And the top has this sort of plunging neckline. You can sort of sew it so it wraps over slightly at the front, and it's got these grown on sleeves that are quite nice and loose and billowy. And the top's brought in by elastic at the bottom. So I just like the look of it, but as I said, I wasn't sure if it would suit me really, but this week I bought the pattern and just gave it a go. And what I decided to do was I decided to use some fabric I already have, and this is the fabric I used. And you may recognise this because I sewed up a dress using this fabric quite recently. I made a hack of the Ogden cami pattern by True Bias, so this pattern that I'm wearing here. And I made it into a midi dress with a ruffle at the bottom. And I'll put a picture up of that dress so you can see that one in case you hadn't seen my video talking about that. And this fabric that I made that dress in and this top in is a viscose fabric from Selfmade, which I think is still in stock, so I'll link it down below. I find Selfmade do really nice quality viscose fabrics, and I really like the sort of scale and the colours in this leopard print. And I found I had just enough left over when I had a look to squeeze out the top of the Saguaro set. So I was quite pleased about that because I thought, well, I've already got a garment in this fabric, so if I do end up ruining the last bit, it's not like I'm ruining the whole lot of the fabric, and it'll be a good garment to make into a wearable toile that I would really hopefully enjoy wearing if it turned out okay. So that's what I did. Oh, I should mention the sizing on this pattern too. It has a really good size range, as ever with Friday Pattern Co. patterns. Let me find the size range. It goes from an extra small up to a 7X, which takes you from the smallest size, which is a bust 32 inches to 33 inches, up to the largest size, which is a bust 59 to 60 inches. So it's a really size inclusive pattern. And I decided to make the pattern based on my measurements. I went for an extra small at the bust, and I graded to a small at the waist because I thought I didn't really want it too restrictively tight at the waist. And also because I was making it with this viscose fabric, I quite like the idea of it being fairly loose and billowy and relaxed. I didn't want it to end up feeling a bit too tight or snug. So I graded out between those sizes, which I don't often do for Friday Pattern Co. I often just go for the smallest size because I do find their patterns have a bit of ease in them. But yeah, this time I graded out and that turned out fine. So this is my Saguaro set top. As you can see, it's got the plunging V-line. It's got these lovely billowy sort of grown on sleeves. It's got a slight wrap at the front here, and I've added on the optional front ties here just for a little bit more coverage. I thought otherwise it might be a bit too plunging and gaping for me. And then you can see it's got the elastic at the bottom bringing it in. And I thought that I might find that elastic a little bit annoying and it might ride up, but actually I kind of took my time finding the right sort of size of elastic so it wasn't too tight but not too loose, and actually it's more comfy to wear than I expected. So I'm really pleased with that, actually. I think it works well in this nice drapey fabric. I did make a couple of changes to the pattern. I lengthened it slightly because I do have a longer torso and I didn't want it to sit too high. So I lengthened the main piece here by 1.5 inches, and I quite like how that sits now, and there's a bit of kind of blousiness to it. And I also moved down these ties just slightly, maybe by about 1.5 centimetres or so, because I thought they might end up a bit too high otherwise because I have got a longer torso. So yeah, that's how it's turned out, and actually I really like it, and I'll put a picture up so you can see what it looks like on. It was quite a nice simple sew, it was quite a speedy sew. I like how the neckline's all finished with bias binding that you make in the fabric, which I think is a really nice finish. Yeah, it's just I think all the seams end up enclosed except the side seams. So yeah, it just ends up being quite a neat finish on it, and it's just quite nice and relaxed and comfy to wear. And I'm not sure what I'm going to pair it with yet. I don't have enough fabric to make a matching pair of the trousers or shorts in this pattern, but I think I would like to go on and make a matching set just in some other fabric. I need to think about what fabric I want to use for that, but I think this will go well maybe with a pair of jeans. Or I asked on Instagram for suggestions, and a couple of people suggested maybe some black linen trousers, which I like the idea of too. I don't have those in my wardrobe, so I need to make some, but I think the idea of a pair of wide leg black linen trousers would go quite nicely with this too. So I'm glad I gave it a go, actually. I like it more than I expected, and it was a nice fun speedy sew too, and I think it'll be lovely for sort of keeping the sun off your shoulders but keeping you cool in warm weather. So yeah, I'm glad I gave it a go, and I think I'll definitely be using this pattern again. So it was a good decision to have made it on a bit of a whim. So the next sewing project that I wanted to update you on is how I'm getting on with the quilts that I'm making for my son and daughter. And if you've watched my previous midweek sewing chat episode, you'll know a couple of months ago I attended an introduction to quilting class, and I really enjoyed learning about quilting, and I decided to try and practice my new quilting skills by making a quilt for my son and daughter to each have on their beds. And they were quite keen on the idea. They had a few ideas about what they'd like, and so I've been sort of putting those quilts together. And my daughter's quilt is quite far progressed now. I've sandwiched it all together, smoothed it out, and I'm onto the quilting process. So I feel like the end is in sight on that one, and I'll show you it when it's all done, which hopefully will be fairly soon. But my son's quilt had stalled slightly. My son had requested a Minecraft inspired quilt, which is a lot of fun actually to put together. I decided to make a sort of pixelated style Minecraft quilt topper using different greens, and I've got it here. You may have still already, but I thought I'd show you here. It's got lots of different greens on with a few greys, and I had a lot of fun choosing the colours and sort of arranging them. And anyway, with my son's quilt, I bought the fabric for the main quilt topper, but I didn't know which colour I'd like to use for the border because I'm putting a border on each of their quilts. And I decided eventually on a colour for the border, which is this grey colour here, the dark grey. I thought that would sort of tone in nicely without making the quilt top too green. But when I went back to my local shop, who stock a lot of lovely quilting fabrics and quilting supplies and things, that fabric had sold out, and they ordered it in again, or they ordered what they thought was the right colour in. When it arrived, it was the wrong shade of grey. It was a lighter shade. So me and the lady in the shop both, oh dear, and what we're going to do, and the lady managed to find out what she thought had happened. I think the company, it was a Maykawa, if that's how you say it, fabric, and they had an old range of greys and a new range of greys, and she'd ordered the new version, but this fabric happened to come from the old range of greys. Luckily, she could still order what she thought was then the right fabric, so she did order that one. And I went in last week and it was the right colour grey, so we were both really relieved, because I was thinking, oh, it wouldn't be ideal to have a different shade of grey to throw into the mix now, and I wasn't sure I wanted to use this lighter shade for the whole of the border. So I was really pleased that they did have that in stock and I could get some. So that was a nice happy ending there. I thought I'd share with you. And so I've now progressed my son's quilt a little bit more. Now I've got that border colour, and you can see I put the border on his quilt and it goes all the way around the edge. And I've made the border the same size or the same width as the quilting squares. So these squares I've used are 3.5 inches. So once you've added in the seams, it ends up being 3 inch by 3 inch actual squares that you can see. So at the moment, the border looks a bit wider, but once the bias binding's on, it'll be the same size, because I thought it would be nice, sort of make it look nice and even to have the same size border as the quilting squares. So that's really happy news on my son's quilt. They were able to find the right colour grey. It's amazing how many different shades of grey there were. I was really surprised all the different options you could get. So anyway, I'm really looking forward to carrying on with this quilt now. It's now got to that point of making the quilt sandwich and smoothing it out, which isn't my favourite part of the process. I don't mind the actual smoothing. I just worry about whether I've done enough of it to make sure there won't be any little rucks when I start to sew. So it's just one of those things that I have to really take my time over. And sometimes I'm a bit of a rusher, so it does force me to slow down and really take my time smoothing to make sure I get a good finish. So anyway, I thought I'd let you know that fabric had come in the right colour. Hurrah! I'm going to carry on with that, and hopefully soon I'll have 2 finished quilts to be able to share with you. So the last thing I wanted to share with you in this video is an update on my latest knitting project. And I'm currently working on my first ever really summery knitting project using this pattern here, which is the Saturday top by We Are Knitters, which I got as a kit when they had a good special offer on. So it's a really pretty knitted cami top with this lovely lacy stitch detail. It's got a deep V and sort of spaghetti strap. So I guess in some ways this neckline is quite similar to the Ogden cami. And again, it's got quite a boxy fit. So it's quite a similar shape to the Ogden cami, but knitted and with this lovely lacy stitch on. And I quite fancy the idea of giving a summery knitting project a go. I thought it would be something different. I do have quite a few knitted cardigans now, but I don't have any knitted summery tops. And this pattern's knitted up in the Pima cotton yarn called the Cotton by We Are Knitters, which is a really nice yarn. I find cotton yarn really nice to knit with. So I've been getting started on this pattern. I mentioned last week you knit it up using a knitting chart, which is something new for me, but something I'm quite enjoying. And I thought I'd share with you how I'm getting on with my top. I've been working on the front piece first, which I guess is the more complicated piece because it's got the 2 sort of V-neck bits here you need to work on, whereas the back is actually straight, unlike the Ogden cami. So here is my knitted top as it's coming on now. So you can see it's got the really pretty lacy stitch, and I've got the 2 V's, and then the straps are knitted in I-cord. So you just knit the I-cord using the 2 stitches. I've got both my 2 stitches for each side held on these stitch holders at the moment, ready to go. And I've actually had to order some double-ended or double-pointed knitting needles to make the I-cord because I didn't have anything suitable. I tried using a one of those knitting needles you use to knit in the round, but the knitting needles were really slippery and the stitches kept slipping off. So I've ordered some double-pointed needles that I personally like, that I know aren't too slippy, so hopefully I'll be able to make the I-cord without the stitches slipping all over the place. But yeah, so this has actually taken me a while to get here. I've been working on this for a few evenings, and I thought it'd be quite simple to knit up and quite quick because it is just one bodice, there are no sleeves and everything, so I thought it would go really quickly. But actually it's been a bit fiddly, particularly around the neckline here. It took me a few goes to knit this bit here to make sure I got the tension right, because I think I'd left it a bit too loose a couple of times, so it didn't look very neat here. There were some quite loopy stitches, if you know what I mean. And then I knitted up the 2 triangles, and I'd found that I'd got the tension slightly looser on one side than the other, so it looked a little bit uneven. So I kind of went back and unknitted or unravelled one side and redid it, and I think I've got a fairly even V now at the front, as you can see. I think I'm quite happy with that now. So yeah, it has been a bit of a fiddly one really, but I've really enjoyed knitting actually. I do think the stitch is really pretty, and I'm knitting in a size medium, which is slightly larger than my measurements, but I find my tension I knit at is slightly tighter than We Are Knitters, so I'm hoping that tighter tension will kind of end up in a good place when I've knitted up the medium, because it'll be slightly smaller than the measurements say they are on the pattern, if that makes sense. So I'm really enjoying knitting up, so I think I'm going to do the I-cords next once those needles have arrived, or actually I'm not, if they don't arrive yet, I might start casting on the back actually and work on the back. But yeah, it's a nice one to coming on. Actually, I'm quite glad that it's taken a bit longer than I thought it would, because I don't really like the idea of whizzing up too quickly, because I want to be able to enjoy it and take my time over it. I don't want to be constantly whizzing through knitting kit after knitting kit by any means. So it's got me thinking and learning a new skill using the chart, and also thinking about the tension quite a lot around the neckline. So that is where I'm getting on that one. So I hopefully be making more progress on that over the next couple of weeks, and I'll share it with you how I'm getting on. So that's everything that I've got to share in this week's video, everything I've been up to on the sewing and knitting front over the last week. So I'm looking forward to carrying on working on a couple of those projects and update you in due course on how I'm getting on. I've also got some new fabrics that are due to arrive over the next few days, so hopefully I'll be able to share them with you soon too, and I've got definite plans for one of them, so I'm definitely looking forward to sewing that one up. So I think I'm going to head off now and get myself a glass of cold water, and then I'm going to pop outside briefly into the heat to do a bit of painting on a gate my husband's repaired, which now needs painting. It's in the shade, so hopefully it won't be too hot there, and I guess it's perfect weather for the paint drying nice and quickly today, so that's my next plan today. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it's not too hot where you are. If you've enjoyed the video, I would love it if you would give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to my channel, then please do consider subscribing so you can hear more of my sewing chats. And if you press the bell icon too, it means you'll be notified when my future videos come out. So I hope you have a lovely day and hopefully see you again soon. Thank you again for watching. Bye.